Greetings, family. To all my brothers and sisters, wherever you are at in the world, I pray the Most High is increasing you in all truth, wisdom, and understanding, that He is guiding you on the righteous path, and that He is providing for you, especially in these times that we are in as we see things unfolding before our eyes. So, as you guys can see, this is part one of Gospel or Gospels. Have we been enslaved through a false gospel and Messiah? And this is a revised version, as I wanted to bring you more accuracy and more clarity and context so that you guys could see these things for yourself and, begin to understand this truth. All right. So, we're going to begin with just explaining. I'm just going to explain real quick that I'm reading from the Greek Septuagint. I know many of you have the KJV, the King James Version, which comes from the Masoretic text. And I want to explain to you why I'm reading from the Greek Septuagint. As you can see in this chart, the Greek Septuagint is very close. If we look to the very bottom of the screen, there is a lost translation that we don't have any time frame for. And then when you look up to the next level, you see to the right, there's another lost translation. But to the left, you see the LXX, which is the Greek Septuagint, which comes from the 3rd century BC, which is around, which came out around 250 BC. All right, somewhere around that date. So this is a much older and I would say more accurate translation to this original lost text. Now, as we were looking to the right, we see, okay, when you go up to the right, you have another lost text, which we don't have uh, a date for. And then you go up again to the right, we have another lost text, which you don't have a date for. And then when you go up one more, you have the MT, which stands for Masoretic text, which comes from the 7th through 10th century CE. And this Masoretic text is where you get a lot of your more modern translations like the KJV, the ESV, and other translations, but they come based off of the Masoretic text. And this is a translation that I know a lot of our people read from when, in terms of the King James Version and others like it. So we can see that between just the Masoretic text and the Greek Septuagint, if we look at the amount of years, all right, 1 BC is about 6 months. So 2 BC is a full year. You can check that out and look that up if you want to, but it'll show you the same thing, that 1 BC is equal to 6 months. So about 125 years on that end, and then plus another, I mean, 700 to 1,000 years. So you're looking about 1,000-year difference between the Masoretic text and the Greek Septuagint, which is why I'm going to be using the Greek Septuagint, because it's a much further back, closer translation to this original lost text, right? And you're going to actually see some of the differences between the Greek Septuagint and the Masoretic text as we go along. All right, so I just wanted to explain that first real quick for you guys to have that as we go through this series. All right, so what are we doing in this series? We are testing Jesus, Yeshua, Yahusha, Yahawashai, Yesiah, all right, whatever name you give to the New Testament Messiah. We are testing him. We are testing him to make sure or to see if he is legit or if he is a illegitimate Messiah. And I know that's harsh words for some, but the thing about it is we have to make sure that we are serving the Most High in truth, and we need to test these things. We cannot be afraid to test these things. And I know a lot of people are like, their mentality is that, oh, if I test this, this may cause me to lose my salvation. Well, one thing that we have to understand is that when you're searching out truth, there should be no fear of loss of salvation. When you're searching out truth, when you're seeking out truth, there should be no fear for loss of salvation. but you should be looking to confirm certain things. And that is exactly what I did before doing the study. Was I was looking to confirm certain things in regards to our Messiah and the New Testament. All right, because this is dealing with the New Testament altogether. So I was looking for confirmations, and that is what led me to do this search. So with that being said, all right, what we're going to do is this is the basis for this study, that in the New Testament we hear things such as what we hear in Matthew chapter 122, where it says, now all this was done that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken of the Most High by the prophet, saying, and then it goes into it. So what we're focusing on is that it might be fulfilled, right? The fulfillment of biblical prophecy. That is what we're going to be focusing on. Again, in Mark chapter 14, verses 48 through 49, it says, and Jesus answered and said unto him, or Yahushai, Yeshua, Yesiah, however you pronounce the name, it says, he answered and said unto him, are you come out as against a thief with swords and with staves to take me? I was daily with you in the temple teaching, and you took me not, but the scriptures must be fulfilled. All right. So he once again saying that, he has to be taken in order for the scriptures to be fulfilled. All right. So associating himself with Old Testament prophecies. All right. In Luke chapter 24, verse 44, it says, and he said unto them, these are the words which I spake unto you while I was yet with you, that all things must be fulfilled, which were written in the law of Moses and in the prophets and in the Psalms concerning me. All right. So once again, attributing those things that were written in the law of Moses and in the prophets and in the Psalms, that they were pertaining to him. Okay, and then the last one I'm going to read is Matthew 26, 53 through 54. It says, thinkest thou that I cannot now pray to my Father, and he shall presently give me more than 12 legions of angels? But how then shall the scriptures be fulfilled, that thus it must be? All right, so in other words, if he's not doing it, if it's not happening to him, the scriptures aren't being fulfilled. Okay, and I know there's people who are going to be thinking about, oh, well, there's double fulfillment of prophecy. Right. Well, first we have to understand what that is. And when we talk about the spirit of prophecy, which comes from the book of Revelations, you must understand what the spirit of prophecy is. All right. And then you must understand the prophecies in context. You can't just cherry pick prophecies. And then, as we know, happens a lot in the scriptures where people cherry pick verses and then they make a whole entire doctrine out of those verses. Right. I'm not going to go into all that right now, but we know that's exactly what happened. So in other words, we need to make sure that the Old Testament prophecies are taken in context, right? With clarity of what's being spoken, who's it being spoken to, and everything like that. So we need to make sure that these prophecies that have been applied to the Messiah are in context, right? If we're going to validate him, we need to make sure that they're in context, right? Since in the New Testament, it is applying these prophecies to him. Okay. So that is what we're going to be breaking down today. And we're just going to be going over a few New Testament prophecies, which the Messiah supposedly fulfilled. All right. And we're going to start with Matthew chapter 1:22, which comes from Isaiah chapter 7, verses 14 through 16, where it says, behold, a virgin shall bear a son and call his name Emmanuel. Okay, and then the second one we're going to go over is Matthew 13, verses 13 through 15, where it says, which comes from Isaiah chapter 6, verses 8 through 10, which says, by hearing you shall hear and not understand. Okay, we're going to break that down because that verse, there's more to it, but that's just the beginning of it. So we're going to break that down in context as well. All right. So we got to remember as we go through this, folks, context is key. What is context? Context is basically clarity. All right. Context is clarity. So we must make sure that we have the proper clarity and understanding of the things that are spoken. All right. Context is what brings clarity. Okay, so let's understand the timeline for Isaiah's prophecy, right? The prophet of Isaiah was prophesying about the coming Assyrian captivity and about deliverance from the Assyrian captivity during the time of the following kings. All right, Isaiah chapter 1, verse 1, reading from the Brenton Greek Septuagint, it says, the vision which Isaiah, the son of Amos, saw, which he saw against Judah and against Jerusalem in the reign of Ozias and Jotham and Ahaz and Ezekiel, or Hezekiah in your KJV, who reigned over Judea. Okay, so these are the kings that are reigning. This is the time period in which Isaiah is prophesying. Okay, so let's look first at Matthew chapter 1, verses 21 through 23, which once again is Isaiah 7, 14 through 16. Behold, a virgin shall bear a son and call his name Emmanuel. Okay, we're going to go ahead and read that passage from Matthew chapter 1, verses 21 through 23, and it reads, and she shall bring forth a son, and thou shalt call his name Jesus, or Yeshua, Yahushai, Yesiah. All right, for he shall save his people from their sins. Now all this was done that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken of the Most High by the prophet, saying, behold, a virgin shall be with child and shall bring forth a son, and they shall call his name Emmanuel, which being interpreted is God with us. Now this is very interesting because just off the bat, you can already see there's a discrepancy that they didn't call him Emmanuel. They called him Jesus or Yeshua or Yahushai, or whatever name you want to use. That's what they called him here, which is already one discrepancy off the bat, but that's not the main focus, but just a little side note. All right, and going to look at the prophecy, which it comes from Isaiah chapter 7, verse 14 through 16. Therefore, the Most High himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive in the womb and shall bring forth a son, and thou shalt call his name Emmanuel. Butter and honey shall he eat before he knows either to prefer evil or choose the good. For before the child shall know good or evil, he refuses evil to choose the good, and the land shall be forsaken, which thou art afraid of because of the two kings. Okay, so now, once again, context is key. So we're going to break this down looking at the context. All right, looking for context, looking for clarity. All right, so the first question we're going to ask is, to whom was the Most High giving a sign to, and why? Right, it says, behold, the Most High is going to give you a sign. Well, who was he talking about giving a sign to, and why? This is very important. All right, so we're going to read from Isaiah to get the clarity and context. What we're going to do is we're going to start from verse 1. We're going to read verse 1 through 9. It's not a lot. We're just going to read this and we're going to get the full understanding. All right, so it reads, starting from verse 1, and it came to pass in the days of Ahaz, the king, in the days of Ahaz, the son of Jotham, the son of Ozias, king of Judah, that there came up Razin, king of Aram, and Paki, son of Remelius, king of Israel, against Jerusalem to war against it, but they could not take it. And a message was brought to the house of David, saying, Aram has conspired with Ephraim, and his soul was amazed, and the soul of his people, as in a wood, a tree is moved by the wind. And the Most High said to Isaiah, go forth to meet Ahaz, thou and thy son Jasub, who is left, to the pool of the upper way of the fuller's field. And thou shalt say to him, take care to be quiet and fear not, neither let thy soul be disheartened because of these two smoking firebrands. For when my fierce anger is over, I will heal them. Right? The two smoking firebrands being the two kings that are trying to come against him. All right. It says in verse 5, and as for the son of Aram and the son of Remelius, for as much as they have devised an evil counsel, saying, we will go up against Judea and have conferred with them, we will turn them away to our side, and we will make the son of Tabeel king of it. Thus saith the Most High of hosts, This counsel shall not abide, nor come to pass. But the head of Aram is Damascus, and the head of Damascus Razin. And yet within 65 years, the kingdom of Ephraim shall cease from being a people, and the head of Ephraim is Samaron, and the head of Samaron, the son of Remelius. But if you believe not, neither will you at all understand. Okay. And then it says, and the Most High again spoke to Ahaz, saying, ask for thyself a sign of the Most High thy God, or thy power, in the depth or in the height. And Ahaz said, I will not ask, neither will I tempt the Most High. And he said, hear you now, O house of David. Is it a little thing for you to contend with men? And how do you contend against the Most High? Therefore, the Most High himself shall give you a sign. Okay. So when we're speaking about the sign, okay, who was the sign given to? The sign was given to Ahaz, right? He's talking to Ahaz here. And he says in verse 10, it says in verse 10, and the Most High again spoke to Ahaz, saying, ask for thyself a sign of the Most High, thy power in the depth or in the height. So ask me a sign to do what? To confirm everything I just told you, right? Because he was telling them, we go back, he was telling them that the council was starting verse 5, and as for the son of Aram and the son of Remelius, for as much as they have devised an evil counsel, saying, we will go up against Judea and have conferred with them, we will turn them away to our side, and we will make the son of Tabel king of it. Thus saith the Most High of hosts, the counsel shall not abide nor come to pass. Okay, so the Most High is telling Ahaz that this counsel ain't gonna stand. All right. And then what he tells him later is that he tells him in verse 9, he says, in the head of Ephraim is Samaron, and the head of Samaron, the son of Remelius. But if you believe not, neither will you at all understand. So he's saying, like, if you don't believe what I'm saying, you're not going to understand the things that you see happening. So ask me a sign, right? Ask me a sign. So to confirm this with you, whether in the depth or in the height. So in other words, in the earth or in the heaven, you ask me a sign and I will show you a sign. And Ahaz was like, no, I'm not going to ask. No, I'm not going to tempt the Most High. Right. And then what does the Most High say? He says, oh, okay, so you think you could I just commanded you. I just commanded you to do something. You trying to contend. You have a problem contending with men. How are you going to contend with me? And then it says, therefore, the Most High himself shall give you a sign. So in other words, the Most High is like, look, I'm going to give you a sign. All right. I told you to ask. You didn't want to ask. I'm going to give you a sign. All right. So now, what was the sign given to Ahaz? Let's read verse 14 through 16. Therefore, the Most High himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive in the womb and shall bring forth a son, and thou shalt call his name Emmanuel. Butter and honey shall he eat before he knows either to prefer evil or choose the good. For before the child shall know good or evil, he refuses evil to choose the good, and the land shall be forsaken, which thou art afraid of because of the two kings. All right. So the Most High is giving this sign, which is the virgin shall conceive. And now what's really important to remember about this is that when he was back here, he told him specifically in verse 8, he says, but the head of Aram is Damascus, and the head of Damascus Razin, and yet within 65 years, the kingdom of Ephraim shall cease from being a people. So he said, within 65 years, the kingdom of Ephraim shall cease from being a people. And then he tells Ahaz to ask a sign to confirm that. So not only we see it's dealing with Ahaz, but it also has to deal with a 65-year period when Ephraim shall cease from being a people. So this sign that he's given, right? This sign that he is now being told about is to confirm that within 65 years, these kingdoms are going to be overthrown, and that Ephraim is going to be carried away into captivity, and they won't be a people within 65 years. Now, how can that fit the Messiah if he came hundreds of years later? That wouldn't match and it wouldn't fit him, because this is dealing with a very specific thing here. So I just wanted to go back and point that out, because we have to keep things once again in context. All right, this is what it's dealing with, and you can't take things and apply them out of context, right? So let's now, what we're going to do is we're going to be breaking down the fulfillment of the three signs given, right? The Most High gave three signs in the previous verse we just read. All right, he gave three signs, all right, to Ahaz concerning the child. The first sign was a virgin shall conceive and the baby will be named Emmanuel. That's sign number one. Sign number two, butter and honey shall the child eat. All right. And then sign number three is the land or people which Ahaz is afraid of will be forsaken because of the two kings. These are the three signs that we are given concerning the child. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to look to see if this was fully fulfilled, right? Because Matthew said it, talked about then it was fulfilled, which was spoken. But if it was already fulfilled in its completeness, not just in a partial, not just taking one part of the prophecy, because you can't cherry pick a prophecy like that. You have to look at it in its completeness. This baby was going to, be named Emmanuel. It was going to be a virgin that conceived, the baby named Emmanuel. Butter and honey shall he eat, right? And the land or people which Ahaz was afraid of will be forsaken of the two kings. Now that third one is definitely hard for the Messiah to fulfill, because guess what? Ahaz wasn't even around then, right? So let's look at the first one. Virgin shall conceive, baby named Emmanuel, right? 7:14, behold, a virgin shall conceive in the womb and shall bring forth a son, and thou shalt call his name Emmanuel. All right, so now we're going to look at the fulfillment of this. All right, in Isaiah chapter 8, verses 1-3, it says, and the Most High said to me, take to thyself a volume of a great new book, and write in it with a man's pen concerning the making a rapid plunder of spoils, for it is near at hand. And make me witnesses of faithful men, Urias and Zacharias, the son of Barachias. And I went in to the prophetess, and she conceived and bore a son. All right, look at what he said. I went in unto the prophetess. I went into the prophetess, and she conceived and bore a son. So this son is coming from Isaiah, which previously I wasn't sure about that, but now I'm pretty sure, especially with something else I'm going to show you in a second. All right, and it says, and the Most High said to me, call his name, spoil quickly, plunder speedily. All right, so now the Most High has told Isaiah to call the son's name. What was he told? He was going to name his son. He was told he was going to name his son Emmanuel. And when we look at this, I found this online. It says Emmanuel, all right, Strong's 86005, origin from 5973 and 410, with a pronominal suffix inserted, with us or is, right? It says, is God, right? With us, God. Or so then it says, Emmanuel, a type name of Isaiah's son, Emmanuel. All right. So we even get clarity that this son, we even get confirmation that this son is Isaiah's son, and his name is Emmanuel. All right. Once again, Emmanuel meaning God with us, or with us is God. Okay. So this shows you that this prophecy is becoming fulfilled. All right. It is being fulfilled. Why? Because it's dealing with King Ahaz and the things that are going on with him. All right. As the sign was for him. All right. Just to confirm, and I'm going to actually show you this in the KJV, because what you're going to see in the KJV is something different. And this is why I've reverted back to the Greek Septuagint. All right. It says in verses 1 through 3, moreover, the Most High said to me, take thee a great roll and write in it with a man's pen concerning Mahershalal Hashbaz. All right. And I took unto me faithful witnesses to record Uriah the prophet, Uriah the priest, and Zechariah the son of Jeberechiah. And I went unto the prophetess, and she conceived and bare a son. Then said the Most High to me, call his name Mahershalal Hashbaz. Okay. So now we didn't see that before. What we saw before was, it said in verses 1 through 3, and the Most High said to me, take to thyself a volume of a great new book and write in it with a man's pen concerning the making a rapid plunder of spoils, for it is near at hand. And make me witnesses of faithful men, Urias and Zacharias, the son of Barachias. And I went in to the prophetess, and she conceived and bore a son. And the Most High said to me, call his name, spoil quickly, plunder speedily. Okay, so we're seeing two different things written in the scriptures, which for a lot of people should be a concern, because guess what? That means that somebody is adding or taking away to the scriptures, right? Somebody is adding or taking away. And that is a major issue that we should be concerned with as people. We need to make sure that we are reading a accurate translation and not just accepting anything thrown into our hands by anybody, particularly in this case, the Roman powers that are over and authorize the King James Version and other translations. Okay, so we see that there's a difference here. All right, but let me continue to show you. It says in Isaiah chapter 8, verses 5 through 8, and the Most High spoke to me yet again, saying, because this people chooses not the water of Siloam that goes softly, but wills to have Razin and the son of Remelius to be king over you. Therefore, behold, the Most High brings up upon you the water of the rivers, strong and abundant, even the king of the Assyrians and his glory. And he shall come up over every valley of yours, and shall walk over every wall of yours, and he shall take away from Judah every man who shall be able to lift up his head, and everyone able to accomplish anything, and his camp shall fill the breadth of thy land. O God with us. Okay, this is what it says here. And notice we see it once again confirming that there's an Assyrian captivity coming, which is promised by the Most High. But notice we know what Emmanuel means. Oh God, Emmanuel means God is with us. And notice here at the end, they put, oh God with us. Now, what's very interesting is that when you look at that last verse, and you look at the end, how they finished it in the KJV, it says, oh Emmanuel. It would make sense. Why? Because Isaiah's baby was named Emmanuel, meaning God is with us, right? So we see that once again in verses 9 through 10. Know you Gentiles and be conquered. Hearken you, even to the extremity of the earth. Be conquered after you have strengthened yourselves. For even if you should again strengthen yourselves, you should again be conquered. And whatsoever counsel you shall take, the Most High shall bring it to naught. And whatsoever word you shall speak, it shall not stand among you. For God is with us. All right. So the Most High is with them. Once again, confirming the name Emmanuel, right? That Isaiah's son was named Emmanuel. As we know, Israelites always name their kids, or mostly name their kids, dealing with the situations that were at hand. So Emmanuel, the Most High is with us. God is with us, right? That is why they named, Isaiah named his son Emmanuel, all right? And to be obedient as well. Okay, so we can see that a virgin shall conceive and the baby will be named Emmanuel has already been fulfilled and has to deal with King Ahaz. All right. The second one we're going to look at is butter and honey. All right. Isaiah 7:15 said, butter and honey shall he eat before he knows either to prefer evil or choose the good. All right. So we're going to read Isaiah chapter 7, verses 17 through 22 to see this being fulfilled. All right. Uh, it says in verse 17, all right, but the Father or our power shall bring upon thee and upon thy people and upon the house of thy father days which have never come, from the day that Ephraim took away from Judah the king of the Assyrians. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Most High shall hiss for the flies, which insect shall rule over a part of the river of Egypt, and for the bee which is in the land of the Assyrians. And they shall enter into the clefts of the land, and into the holes of the rocks, and into the caves, and into every ravine. And in that day, the Most High shall shave with the hired razor of the king of Assyria beyond the river the head and the hairs of the feet, and will remove the beard. And it shall come to pass in that day that a man shall rear a heifer and 2 sheep. And it shall come to pass from their drinking an abundance of milk, that every one that is left on the land shall eat butter and honey. Okay, so we see that the Most High is bringing some type of pestilence. All right, but he says he's going to, call the bees and all this, and that in the end, what's going to happen in verse 22, it says that, and it shall come to pass from their drinking an abundance of milk, that everyone that is left on the land shall eat butter and honey. Okay, so we see that even in this time period, the Most High is lining things up. He's making things happen, right? So that what his word, which he spoke to Ahaz, would be fulfilled. So he's confirming Ahaz, this is what's going to happen in this time period with the Assyrians. This is what's going to happen, all right, regarding the king of the Assyrians and everything. This is what's going to happen. You're going to see this. All right. And y'all are going to be eating butter and honey. Everyone that is left. So we see this has to deal with what? The baby eating butter and honey, as the baby's going to be coming up in this time period. And even the next sign that we're going to go over shows you, kind of confirms all of this, right? So far we see that butter and honey shall the baby eat, because of the things that are going to be happening, the things that the Most High is going to be bringing upon the land regarding the 2 kings. Okay, so last thing we're going to look at, all right, the last one we're going to look at is the 2 kings land forsaken. All right, in Isaiah 7:16, it said, for before the child shall know good or evil, he refuses evil to choose the good, and the land shall be forsaken, which thou art afraid of, because of the 2 kings. Okay, so now the land is going to be forsaken, which thou art afraid of. So these 2 kingdoms, these 2 peoples that Ahaz is afraid of, the Most High is saying that their land is going to be forsaken because of the 2 kings. All right. So we see all this is dealing with Ahaz. This is dealing with Ahaz and dealing with this time period specifically. Okay. And all these things are a part of this child's prophecy. The child that was born from a virgin, from the prophetess. All this is dealing with that child specifically. It's all connected to that prophecy. You can't separate it. So if we're looking at the New Testament Messiah, he needs to fulfill all of this, because it is all connected to the virgin birth prophecy. All right. So let's continue. All right. Looking at Isaiah 1-9 again, identifying the 2 kings. We're going to identify who are the 2 kings that Ahaz is afraid of. All right, it says, and it came to pass in the days of Ahaz, the son of Jotham, the son of Ozias, king of Judah, there came up Razin, king of Aram, and we're going to see a different spelling in this name, but it's the same king. Razin, the king of Aram, and Peki, son of Remelius, king of Israel. All right. It says they came up against Jerusalem to war against it, but they could not take it. Okay, so these are the 2 kings. As you can see, this is what was before verse 14-16. So this is what sets it up. It says in it, and a message was brought to the house of David, saying, Aram is conspired with Ephraim, and his soul was amazed, and the soul of his people as in a wood, a tree is moved by the wind. Okay, so now the people are fearful, as the verse just mentioned. All right, as the prophecy just mentioned, the land which you are afraid of, right? So they were moved with fear. All right. And it says, and the Most High said to Isaiah, go forth and meet Ahaz, thou and thy son who is left, to the pool of the upper way of the fuller's field. And thou shalt say to him, take care to be quiet and fear not, neither let thy soul be disheartened because of these two smoking firebrands, which are the two kings. For when my fierce anger is over, I will heal again. Okay, so now we've identified the two kings. All right, but just to confirm, and as for the son of Aram and the son of Remelius, who we know is Razin and Peki, for as much as they have devised an evil counsel, saying, we will go up against Judea and have conferred with them, we will turn them away from to our side, and we will make the son of Tabeel king of it. Thus saith the Most High of hosts, this counsel shall not abide, nor come to pass. But the head of Aram is Damascus, and the head of Damascus is Razin. Okay, so we just settled that. We know exactly who's the head of Razin, who's the head of Damascus, all right, and Aram, all right, which is Razin. And then it says, and yet within 65 years, the kingdom of Ephraim shall cease from being a people, and the head of Ephraim is Samaron, and the head of Samaron is the son of Remelius, all right, who was Peki or Paki, however you want to pronounce it. All right, but if you believe not, neither will you at all understand. Okay, so now that we've acknowledged who the two kings are, all right, notice that once again, dealing with this child, we're going to read Isaiah chapter 8, verse 4, because it says in Isaiah 8:4, it says, before the child shall know how to call his father or his mother, one shall take the power of Damascus and the spoils of Samaria before the king of the Assyrians. All right, so we're looking at the power of Damascus taken. All right, we're looking at the power of Damascus taken. That's what we're looking for now, right? Because we see all this has to deal with this child. All right, in Isaiah 7:16, it said that the land will be forsaken of what? The two kings, which he was afraid of. And now we see that one of the Most High has pronounced that the power of Damascus was going to be taken and the spoils of Samaria before the king of Assyria. So the army is going to come, take the powers of Damascus and Samaria. All right, and they're going to present it to the king of the Assyrians, basically saying, hey, we conquered Damascus and Samaria, which is a part of Israel. We conquered these places. All right, and here you go. Right, here's the spoils. All right, so this baby that is spoken of in Isaiah 7:14, as you can see, both passages deal with the overthrowing of the kingdoms which King Ahaz was afraid of, and specifically it mentions that Damascus, who was reigned over by King Razin. All right, so that is what we got to this point. All right, let's continue. We're going to look at Fourth Kings in the Brenton Greek Septuagint. We're going to read Fourth Kings chapter 16 verses 5 through 9, and we're going to look at Razin, king of Assyria. All right, so starting in verse 5, it says, then went up Razin, king of Syria, and Paki, son of Remelius, king of Israel, against Jerusalem to war, and besieged Ahaz, but could not prevail against him. At that time, Razin, king of Syria, recovered Elath to Syria and drove out the Jews from Elath. And the Edomenes, or might say Edomites or Edom in your translation, came to Elath and dwelt there until this day. And Ahaz sent messengers to Thalgath Pelessar, king of the Assyrians, saying, I am thy servant and thy son. Come up, deliver me out of the hand of the king of Syria and out of the hand of the king of Israel, who are rising up against me. Okay. Then it says, and Ahaz took the silver and the gold and was found in the treasures of the house of the Most High. I'm sorry, that was found in the treasures of the house of the Most High and of the king's house, and sent gifts to the king. And the king of the Assyrians hearkened to him. And the king of the Assyrians went up to Damascus and took it and removed the inhabitants and slew King Razan. Okay. All right. So we see that Damascus, the power of Damascus, has been taken, and the king has been killed. King Razan has been king. All right. So now we're seeing a fulfillment of the third part of this prophecy within Kings, all right, which is Fourth Kings in the Greek Septuagint, Second Kings in your KJV, all right. So this is what we're seeing. So this is a completion. This is the Most High completing the prophecy, fulfilling the prophecy and His word regarding Ahaz and regarding this child. Everything is being accomplished. All right. The next one we're going to look at is the land of Israel forsaken and the king killed. All right. So in Fourth Kings, once again, Second Kings in your KJV, it says in chapter 15, verses 29 through 30, in the days of Paki, king of Israel, came Thalgath Pelasar, king of the Assyrians, and took Ain and Abel and Thamaka and Aniak and Kenez and Asor and Galah and Galilee, even all the land of Naphtali, and carried them away to the Assyrians. And Osea, the son of Elah, formed a conspiracy against Pake, the son of Ramelius, and smote him and slew him and reigned in his stead. Okay, so we see right here that number one, now the king of the Assyrians has come up against Israel, right? He's come up against Israel. All right. And he's basically taken them. And then he's carried, guess who? Ephraim or Israel. He's carried them away captive to the Assyrians. So now we're seeing this come to pass within the specific time period that the Most High gave King Ahaz. He's told him that this was going to happen. So we're seeing that actually come to pass, right? And then it says, and Osea, son of Elah, formed a conspiracy against Paki, the son of Ramelius, and smote him and slew him and reigned in his stead. Now I have right here, it says, discrepancy, because I found a small discrepancy within this little section. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make a separate video going over this small discrepancy, dealing with Paki, all right, and his death and its connection, because the timing, there was a error in translation, but everything you can see up to this point uh lines up. And when I was talking and saying that there's an error in translation, it's in both the KJV and it's in the Brenton Greek Septuagint. And I've actually confirmed this with an individual, and they see exactly the same thing I see. So I'm gonna bring that out in a side video. So just look for that. There's a discrepancy video I'm gonna bring out soon. Soon after this, it should be up with this. It should be up with this. So we see though that, okay, now the Most High has fulfilled everything that He said. Okay, we see that He's fulfilled everything that He has said. All right, to Ahaz, that he took out the power of Damascus. All right, and the land of Israel is been taken over and forsaken. Okay, so all right, so that's what now that's the third one. All right, so we've seen now all three signs that have been given to Ahaz came to pass during his time period. And that's why it's so important to understand the context of the prophecies. We can no longer just be looking at prophecy saying, oh, the Messiah filled this prophecy, and then not understand the context. All right. But now we have a full clarity of everything that was going to happen. All right. And when you look at these things, right, what do we see? We see that these things didn't happen in the time period of the Messiah, right? Some will say, okay, the virgin birth happened, right? But then what about the butter and the honey? Shall he eat? What about the land which King Ahaz was afraid of being forsaken because of the two kings? We didn't see those things come to pass in the time of Messiah. And those things are specifically tied to this prophecy. You can't cherry pick the prophecy and separate these things out of it. You can't do that. All of it is one together. So he would have had to fulfill all three of these things, which he hadn't. We never seen that fulfilled in his time period. All right. You know, especially when we talk about the king being forsaken, like we definitely didn't see that happen. You know, maybe they might say King Herod died, but that was only one. All right. And so there was no siege, there was no, you know, we don't see these things happening during the time of the Messiah. So he could not have been the one that was talked about in this prophecy. In other words, that prophecy did not apply to him. Okay. So this prophecy had nothing to do with the New Testament Messiah named Jesus, Yeshua, Yahusha, Yahawashai, Yesiah. All right. This sign was for Ahaz that both of the kingdoms, which he was afraid of, would be overthrown, and that within 65 years, Ephraim would not be in the land, but in captivity. That neither happened with the Messiah. All right. So this prophecy has been fulfilled and completed, and there was no need for another refulfillment of it, let alone to be an incomplete fulfillment of it. All right. So that's the conclusion for that one. The next one we're going to look at is Matthew chapter 13, verses 13 through 15, which is found in Isaiah chapter 6, verses 8 through 10. This is a very simple one. By hearing you shall hear, but by hearing you shall hear and not understand. Okay, we're going to read the full passage from Matthew chapter 13, verses 13 through 15. It said, therefore, speak I to them in parables, because they seeing, see not, and hearing, they hear not, neither do they understand. And in them is fulfilled the prophecy of Isaiah, which saith, by hearing you shall hear and shall not understand, and seeing you shall see and shall not perceive. For this people's heart is waxed gross, and their ears are dull of hearing, and their eyes they have closed, lest at any time they should see with their eyes and hear with their ears and should understand with their heart and should be converted, and I should heal them. Okay, so notice the Messiah said that in the people that he was talking to in parables was this fulfilled, right? That's why he spoke it to them in parables, to fulfill this prophecy. So we're gonna go look to see where this prophecy came from. It comes from Isaiah chapter 6, verses 8 through 10, which is prior to the previous prophecy we just brought out in Isaiah chapter 7. All right, which alludes that this prophecy more than likely is a, you know, something that just preceded and set it up for Isaiah's mission to speak to the people. All right, but it says in verse 8, and I heard the voice of the Most High saying, whom shall I send, and who will go to this people? And I said, behold, I am here, send me. And he said, go and say to this people, you shall hear indeed, but you shall not understand, and you shall see indeed, but you shall not perceive. For the heart of this people has become gross, and their ears are dull of hearing, and their eyes have they closed, lest they should see with their eyes and hear with their ears and understand with their heart and be converted, and I should heal them. All right. So we see Isaiah is the one being spoken to here, and he is the one answering, right? Saying, hey, send me, send me. And then he's being told what to say, right? He's being told what to say. All right. So specifically, I'm just going to read it again so you guys can now understand what's going on, as I'm sure you already do, but we're just going to read it to get full context and go into the next verses after. It says, and I heard the voice of the Most High saying, whom shall I send, and who will go to this people? And I said, Isaiah said, behold, I am here, send me. And he said, go and say to this people, you shall hear indeed, but you shall not understand, and you shall see indeed, but you shall not perceive. All right. So the Most High is telling Isaiah, go say this to the people. For the heart of this people has become gross, and their ears are dull of hearing, and their eyes have they closed, lest they should see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and understand with their heart, and be converted, and I should heal them. He continues to say, now look at what Isaiah responds, right? Look how he responds. He says, and I said, how long, O Most High? How long? Right? O King, how long? So Isaiah is now asking the Most High, how long do I go and say these things? How long do I go in and speak these words that you've just given me to speak? How long do I do it? Not some other person later, but how long do I do it? How long do I speak these things? All right. And it says, and he said, until the cities be deserted by reason of their not being inhabited, and the houses by reason of there being no men, and the land shall be left desolate. Right. So now the Most High just told Isaiah how long he was going to speak these things. All right. Until the cities be deserted by the reason of their not being inhabited, and the houses by reason of there being no men, and the land shall be left desolate. All right. Now we know in the prophecy that we just went over, right? That what happened? The Most High took the people captive by the Assyrians. He brought the Assyrians against the kingdom of Judah and the kingdom of Israel. All right. So this is and guess what? At that point, this prophecy was fulfilled. Once the Most High took Israel captive and Judah captive by the Assyrians and removed them from their land, this prophecy had been fulfilled. All right, verse 12. And after this, the Father shall remove the men far off, and they that are left upon the land shall be multiplied, yet there shall be a tenth upon it, and it shall be for a spoil, as a turpentine tree, and as an acorn when it falls out of its husk. Okay. So the Most High has told now Isaiah how long that he's going to speak this. How long is he going to speak? So this prophecy didn't have anything to do with the Messiah of the New Testament. It actually had to deal with Isaiah and his going to speak and prophesy to the people during that period of time. All right. So this is another prophecy that was just meant for Isaiah and the people he was responsible for speaking to at that time period before they were carried away into captivity by the Assyrians. This was not meant for any other time period. All right. So for my brothers and sisters who are like, but double prophecy can be fulfilled twice. One thing I want you to go look into is my video that I did on understanding the spirit of prophecy, because that's a very foundational video when it comes to understanding prophecy, as I break down where the understanding of a double fulfillment of prophecy, where it comes from. So please go check that out so you have of understanding the spirit of prophecy, because that's very important. As you know, you see where the doctrine comes from, and I bring clarity to it. All right. But as you guys can see, when it comes to these two prophecies that we went over, they were not meant for the Messiah at a later time period. And especially when we talk about the first prophecy that we went over, he didn't even fully complete it and fulfill it. It wasn't even fully complete and fulfilled by him. Why? Because it had no relation to him, but it was for King Ahab during that time period. So what does this mean? Well, this means that there's issues with the New Testament. This means that there's lies. I'm going to just say it straightforward, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. There's lies in the New Testament, and we have to begin to understand these things in context. And I will continue to go over these prophecies, breaking more of them down so that you can get clarity of who exactly is being spoken about. And if it's complete, I will show you that the prophecy has been fulfilled already and that it is not dealing with the New Testament Messiah. So as we just seen, this is exactly what the case is in these two prophecies. All right, which is a huge error. It's a huge error and it's a huge problem. All right. And once again, some of those already know my stance on the New Testament, that this was something created by Rome, all right, to get us to worship a demigod or put our trust in a deity in the blood of a man, right? And not putting our trust in the Most High, and his compassion for us, and doing the things that we should do so that we can be delivered from all the lands where we have been scattered to. All right, this has been a stumbling block for our people, as many people worship Yahusha, Yeshua, Jesus, Yesiah. They worship him as God, and not all. There's those that do not worship him as God, but just say he was, a great prophet, the Messiah, our Savior. He's not God, but the doctrine is still based in what is known as the New Testament, which has many errors and lies in it, and is proving to not be true, especially after you've seen these two prophecies that I just went over. So, with that being said, my brothers and my sisters, thank you for watching. Please subscribe, like, and share this video with others so that they can begin to see these things and see this issue, so that we can get delivered, that we can come back to the Most High in truth and in righteousness, that we can seek him the way we're supposed to and worship and trust in him the way we're supposed to, so that we can, be delivered. So share it on your Facebook page, WhatsApp, however you can help spread this, so that we can come out of this lie that we've been taught, which has caused us to be enslaved. This is the reason why we have been enslaved. They've created a doctrine that makes us passive, that makes us passive towards our enemy. And, oh, if your enemy, slap you or do this and do that, oh, turn the other cheek, or, pray for them, which despitefully use you and persecute you. This is how the enemy has ruled over us, and the mentality that they have whipped and beat into us, just to be passive and accept their rulership. And that is not how our ancestors were in the past. Our ancestors were warriors who fought for righteousness. And you're going to see that coming up in actually part 2, when I do part 2, when I revise the revised version of part 2. All right, you're going to see that our ancestors were warriors and stood up for righteousness. Those that were seeking to worship the Most High in truth and spirit, that they fought for him. That they were warriors for righteousness, and they didn't stand for wickedness. All right. So once again, subscribe, like, and share this with those. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me or drop them in the comment box. And I would love to get back to you on that. I will definitely spend the time to get back to you on that. My email is thewayeverlasting8@gmail.com. So once again, family, thank you for watching. And until next time, may the Most High increase you in all truth, wisdom, and understanding. And may he guide you in all your ways. And once again, provide for you in these times that we are in. So until next time, family, be increased.